Beyond the tumultuous Moldovan court, the world at large continues to fall neatly into the hands of the most powerful and capable rulers. Scotland is mostly under Lothian control, while the South and Ireland go to Dare, both Viking kingdoms, yet still minor when compared to the mainland. Iberia is controlled by three main kingdoms, Leon, Razin, and Jabrid. Lyonnais' major expansion a decade ago has mostly slowed in the face of these two Muslim consolidations, and the kingdom's only hope is that they fight each other instead, allowing an opportunity. Meanwhile, Septimania has exploded onto the world stage under Erege Ordonio de Agurto, a Spaniard whose French kingdom stretches from Minorca to Nevers, and by January of 925 is ravaging its only challengers in the form of Anjou and Dijon to the north. Italy is divided between Firenze in the north, who is also being invaded by Septimania, and Italians, a Greek kingdom under Despotes Lacanthes Diogenes to the south, who is notable for his expulsion of the now-defunct Nismuddin from southern Italy. Then, to the east of that are the familiar realms which this chronicle is concerned with, namely Moldova, Slavonia, and its rebellious Magyar half Pannonia, both to the west of Moldova. Then to the east lay the large but empty realm of Buhler under Khan Kano Tiradin the Wolf. He was losing land by the day to the panicked Ghaznavids, who are chewing through their sparse defenses like a rodent fleeing a cat. Finally, Anatolia is largely under no particular control, while Hayek waits to the east as the last guardian of the peninsula. Then, the Wassilids have claimed control over the Holy Land, and often fight the Safavids, who have claim over Mecca and Medina. The tide from the east has silenced the quarrels of these Arabs, who set themselves to work trying to prepare for the horse armies of the brutal Seljuk. On the 1st of June, the monks of Mount Athos had decided that King Katsarix Dragoshin the Blessed should be canonized as an Orthodox saint for his work in spreading the Orthodox Christian faith and establishing a strong and united Orthodox kingdom. Meanwhile, one of King Alexandru's first acts as reigning monarch was to move his chancellor from Zagreb in Slavonia to Visegrad in Pannonia, in order to grow closer with that kingdom and weaken Slavonia, punishing Kral Dorobomir for his treachery. Miraculously, Queen Vienka fell pregnant in July at the age of 39. Unfortunately, that pregnancy only resulted in a stillborn daughter. Still, the couple persisted, and in May a daughter was born named Luminata. In 928, King Alexandru began to improve his weight after he mounted his favorite horse and it collapsed beneath him, dead. In turn, after the death of his childhood friend in November, he swapped vices and became a drunkard instead, a rather rough start for following up his father, the founder of the very kingdom he ruled. In April of 930, desperate for protection, the Ghaznavids subjected themselves as tributaries of the Western Protectorate, and therefore a direct tributary of the Tang Empire in distant China. By February of 931, Septimania continued its expansion, pushing Firenze out of the Alps and invading Iberia, cutting through the undefended eastern borders of Razin and Jabrid like butter. In the east, the year 933 racked Khorasan with revolts, causing a myriad of subjects to break free, slowing their expansion and drawing the attention of Khagan Bayezid Seljuk decidedly away from expansion and towards consolidation and stability. In March of 938, the Jomsvikings Vikings began to sail the seas. In September, Thrakes, under its new Norse king Gutmunter the Brave, invaded Moldova from the southeast. He brought 10,000 men with him, and at the helm he began his rampage. This was a great strain on Alexandru and his army, who relied almost entirely on tactics and strategy in order to make it out of the war in one piece, only able to rally just over half as many men for the fight. Stressed and enraged at this infraction on his precious balance of power, King Alexandru marched towards the capital of Thrace itself, while the Vikings ravaged his city of Adrianople, and he set fire to Thrace, killing everyone who fled, man, woman, or child. This earned him the moniker of the Black, and a reputation as a cruel man. Unfortunately for him, however, the Viking warlord had been leading his forces in Adrianople, and broke his plundering short to ensure the safety of his capital, prompting a shift from Thrace to Calliopolis, where Alexandru the Black's army continued its dark work. The Moldovan army was very much siege-oriented, but they were still able to tire out the Vikings by never engaging them in direct combat, and occupying as much Viking territory as they could. The 9,800 Vikings that were left changed plans, and began to attempt an occupation of Zagor, where a mighty castle was built by Catterick the Blessed. The Vikings, not well versed in siege tactics, suffered over 1,000 losses. By November of 939, Gudmundur was supplanted by Edmund, son of Hel, and Thrace was annexed by Denmark. As such, most of the Vikings loyal to Gudmundur the Brave disbanded, and sought other shores to raid, leaving only about 2,000 men to face the Moldovich forces, which at this point had nearly reached 6,000 soldiers. Upon hearing the news, Alexandru the Black marched his army north to meet the Vikings at their unfinished siege of Zagor. On the 26th of December, King Edmund of Denmark surrendered, and left the kingdom at peace. To the east, many of the duchies in the north which broke free from Khorasan pledged themselves as tributaries of the Western Protectorate, expanding the influence of the Tang to the shores of the Caspian Sea. To the south, however, the Khagan Bayezid was of age, and bringing southern Persia aggressively back into the fold. He was also carving up Hague, which was barely holding on to what little land it had left. Its countryside in flames, only the strongest castles in the Georgian mountains held, and the walls of its capital Daran repelled the constant sieging of the Turk hordes. To the west of Hague, another kingdom was rising up to take its mantle as bulwark against the Turks, that of the Greek Armeniakon under Despotes Photios the Vengeful. He was a Massalian, a heretic of East Syriac Christianity, but beyond that would have to serve as the last defender of Christian Anatolia when Hague inevitably collapsed. To the further west, Septimania kept pressure on the Moorish kingdoms, splintering Razin and pushing Jabrid into the Moroccan region of North Africa. Far to the north, a confederation of Munisusco pagans united to form the Vienna League, an elective title which serves to defend against the roiling forces of empire to their south. This would be the first such league, but the idea would soon spread throughout northern Europe, much of which was still shattered and hopelessly disunited. On the 2nd of November, 941, with Queen Vienka 55, past her fertile years, and the king himself aging and in ill health at 42, changed the succession laws to agnatic Kanyad, so that Princess Luminita could inherit the throne after him. This seemed more sensible to him, rather than frantically try for a son that he would not get to raise, and a son that would probably inherit into a regency. In May of 944, Hague finally fell to the onslaught of the Turks, but Armeniakon was ready to face the oncoming hordes. In the December of 945, King Alexandru the Black fathered an illegitimate daughter who was named Ianella, and recognized her as his own without legitimizing her. The day before Christmas of that year, the king of Armeniakon, Despotes Photios the Vengeful, founded a Massalian holy order to help defend against the oncoming Seljuk Turks. This was called the Army of Lucifer, as the Massalians believed that Lucifer was not an evil force, but one of chaos and change. They called him the Lightbringer, and the greatest of all the archangels and king of hell, who carries out the sorrowful work of punishment, as well as the grand work of effecting change in the world of men. In June of 947, because the succession laws were changed and disinherited many vassals, a cabal of them revolted, with 6,000 men in tow. King Alexandru the Black responded with 7,000 mercenaries, and marched directly for their base of operations in Turnu, directly south of Targoviste. In July, Fraticelli rebels overtook Rome, causing Pope Romanus to call a crusade for his own holy kingdom. In response to this, 4 orders of holy warrior monks were founded: the Knights of Calatrava, the Knights of St. John, the Teutonic Order, and the Knights of Santiago. In August, another illegitimate daughter was born to Alexandru, named Christina, who received the same treatment as her sister. In September, Alexandru put down the rebellion and secured Luminita's place on the throne. Queen Vienka died a natural death at the age of 62 on the 11th of September, 948. On the 14th of May, 949, King Alexandru the Black, Dragoshin, was killed by highwaymen on the orders of Count Adrian of Kluk, a man who did not join the rebellion, but prayed for its victory. Queen Luminita ascended to the throne at the age of 21, a surprisingly talented military strategist, though not to match her father. A controversial figure, and a woman on top of that, she was destined for a tumultuous rule from the start.